Hello everyone and welcome. This is our In the Kitchen virtual cooking series, and tonight we're going to be cooking hummus bowls with veggies. I threw in some chicken shawarma style and Za'atar Pita. So I really love Middle Eastern food, Mediterranean food. There's a lot of overlap in some of the dishes, the ingredients. They're called by different names. But there are wonderful and varied types of salads and vegetables and spices and dips. I find myself cooking this style of food often as it's something that my family really loves. It's a way for us to eat healthy with that whole Mediterranean diet. We fit in a lot of veggies, and if you're a vegan or vegetarian or pescatarian, or don't eat meat but eat fish and chicken, it's a way that you can really make it adaptable to any type of diet. And it makes great leftovers, the salads and veggies and everything. All the spices really marinated well, and it tastes good the next day. So just about any protein or vegetable can be used in this recipe and added to make it a filling and tasty hummus bowl. So we're going to start with preheating our oven. So I use an air fryer setting because it's really just a super convection. So a convection oven makes sure that the heat is circulated in your oven. And super convection just means that it's extra fan power. So that's really what an air fryer does. So I'm gonna set that. I'm gonna do it at 400 degrees because we're gonna make chicken and we're gonna make our veggies. All right, so that'll have a little noise in the background. So the first thing I'm gonna do is prep our chicken. I have boneless, skinless thighs here. And I prefer dark meat to white meat. I think it has a lot more flavor and they come out very tender. You never really have to worry about overcooking it. So I'm gonna take my thighs and I'm gonna add mojo garlic sauce. So I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons. Right? So when you open up jar, you can either shake it, stir it, get it all mixed in, as you can see, right? So we're gonna take about 2 tablespoons of that. This is about 1.25 pounds of meat. Obviously, if you're making more, add more. If you're making less, add less, or to your liking, however it is. And the spices that I'm going to use are, I've got cumin. I always add garlic powder and onion powder because I really just like that extra flavor. I'm also adding paprika because I like to add paprika, and those are kind of normal spices that I use in the kitchen. All right, so I'm gonna put that right on. And then I'd also like to talk about sumac. So sumac, as you see, it's this like nice reddish, almost purplish kind of color. And sumac is used in a lot of Middle Eastern recipes. It is made from a berry. It's dried from the flower, right? So that becomes a berry. So it has this lemony citrus flavor that is really nice to kind of balance acidity in dishes, and it tenderizes. It's used in different spice mixes as well in the Middle East. And it's that, if you've ever seen it sprinkled on top of hummus at the end, that extra pop of color, it really gives the dish a more Middle Eastern kind of authentic flavor. So I'm gonna add sumac. All right, I'm just gonna save a little bit of sumac for the end. And then we're just going to mix that all up. So it's all coated. Right. So this meal is also something that's really quick, and you can use components of leftovers to build the dish. If you've got any leftover roasted veggies, if you've got any leftover grains, rice, quinoa, that's really great ways to kind of lessen your food waste, right? Use everything you have, and not as much cooking. All right, so I'm just gonna, when my oven is ready, I'm gonna pop this in. We're all ready to go. I'm gonna wash my hands. Wash your hands every time you deal with meat. All right. When I cook, I always like to have paper towels handy. It's a really good way to just make sure you're wiping your workspace in between every step that you're taking. So the next thing that I'm gonna prep, because we're gonna put it into the oven at the same time as the chicken, is cauliflower. So a really nice thing about this recipe is you can really add so many things that you like in terms of herbs and flavors, but you can also use whatever vegetables you like to. Use cauliflower here, but you can easily use winter squash. Butternut squash is great for this. You can do roasted carrots. So any kind of vegetable that you really like, that will can be adaptable for this. So for the cauliflower, we're also gonna add the Mama Millie's mojo garlic sauce. And a really nice thing about this sauce is that it eliminates the need to chop garlic, right? You'll see there's very little chopping that I'm going to have to do here, and I could have pre-done it, but I'll do it live with you. So I got 3 tablespoons on my cauliflower, right? Then I'm gonna add, I have my spices already here, a little touch of cumin, turmeric, and white pepper. So white pepper it's made from black pepper, but it's without that shell. So it has a milder taste. It kind of gives a bit of almost like an umami. Umami is another taste, another sense of taste. So it's not as strong, and it's used a lot in Middle Eastern cooking. And if you have a dish that's delicate, or you have a dish that you don't want to see black little specks, white pepper is a great addition for that. So I heard my oven go off, chicken goes in, and this cauliflower is going to follow. All right. Just making sure, if you want to add more or less of some spice, that's okay. Cooking is to your personal taste. All right. If you've never tried curry on cauliflower, it's really delicious too. All right. So you can also put Za'atar, which we're going to put on the pita. I'm going to talk about that later. Okay, so cauliflower, and I have my tray, because I'm going to pop this in the oven. All right, so what you want to do when you put something on a baking tray is you want to make sure that it's evenly spaced, right? You don't want it crowded, because then if you crowd a pan, that's just going to create a lot of moisture, and your food is going to steam rather than really get the heat covering each piece, and that creates the nice brown golden color. So spread this out, and just like this is fine, and it's going to go in my oven. My oven that's hot and ready for me. You don't want to have to wait around, so that's why you try to preheat everything, including your pans. All right, so look, we're 10 minutes in and we've already got 2 things going. Fast and easy, no chopping garlic. I chose not to add onions to this, but if you want to chop onions, that's fine. So we're gonna move to the hummus, and let's talk about chickpeas. So first of all, this is a nice process that you can use with other types of beans, other types of legumes like lentils, and even other hearty vegetables, like think of baba ganoush, right? So it's taking the base and you're adding lemon, tahini, right? I put some cumin too with my tahini. And tahini is a sesame paste. It's used a lot in the Middle East as well. It's a nice and creamy texture. So it's a nice substitute for dairy in dishes. And it gives a nice nutty flavor. You can use it as dressings. Green Goddess dressing has a base with tahini in it. Delicious with lots of herbs. I will roast carrots with it, toss this with carrots, with your favorite spices. So tahini is really versatile, and that's something that you should add to your pantry if you don't already have it. That's what makes hummus that really nice, creamy, savory kind of dip. So back to chickpeas, right? So chickpeas, it's perfectly fine to use canned chickpeas. But the key here is to make sure that you have a high-speed blender. I have a Ninja, and it's good. It gets to a high speed, and it has a lot of blades. So if you have a blender that isn't like a high-speed one, like a Vitamix or like the Ninja, then you're gonna want to take the time to take these little, it's like a little shell on the chickpea. You're gonna want to take the time to take that off, because otherwise you're gonna have a chunky consistency and you're gonna say, well, this isn't like the hummus that I've had in restaurants. Well, that's why, because it's not really blending and breaking up this shell. So it takes a little bit of time, but it is worth it. Otherwise, if you have that high-speed blender, it's just gonna blend it right up and you'll have that creamy consistency. So dried chickpeas are wonderful, right? It definitely is better in quality and flavor and consistency when you cook with the dried beans and you soak them overnight, but it also is more time consuming. So that's why I'm showing you that chickpeas from a can are perfectly fine. Just make sure that you get them blended up well. So when you drain your chickpeas, another thing that's nice about using canned chickpeas is the water. Don't throw it out. You can use it. So the water from chickpeas, it's called aqua faba. And that word comes from aqua meaning water and faba meaning bean. So this water that the chickpeas have been in the can can be used. I'm gonna show you a bonus after we finish with, this is powdered sugar and aquafaba. You whip it up and it becomes like a whipped cream consistency. So this is a vegan substitute for whipping cream. It adds texture and body and whips up. So aquafaba. So that there are benefits to using cans sometimes. So we'll keep that on the side. So what we're gonna do to make our hummus is I'm gonna put the chickpeas in the blender, okay? Then I'm going to take my tahini and I put cumin as well, right? And this is about a 1/4 cup of tahini. So when you look for tahini, I suggest getting one that's really authentic Middle Eastern, if you have a Middle Eastern market near you. And that's because it really is more finely ground, and it doesn't seem to separate as much. Because sesame seeds have oil, that's where they get sesame oil from, and so you don't want a really hard tahini. You want one that's been really blended well so that it's smooth and that consistency that you saw me pour out. I'm gonna take Mama Millie's mojo, right? I'm gonna take a tablespoon. I wanna get oil and some of that garlic, and I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon with all that garlic, and then 2 tablespoons of just that oil, because that oil has all that garlic infused in it as well. And I'm gonna take a half of, this is a rather large lemon, so I think I'm only gonna need about half. Oh, hi, Mama Millie. My mother just popped into the kitchen. All right. So like, this lemon is rather large, so it doesn't fit into my squeezer here, but it helps me strain the seeds. So that's why I have this little bit of an awkward situation going on, but this helps me. All right. So yeah, that was a pretty juicy lemon. I think we'll just need about half. And if you see that the hummus looks a little bit dry or not enough liquid, add some olive oil to it. So this is really simple. I'm just going to put this on the base and let it really get blended up. Scrape down the sides to make sure that all the ingredients are getting mixed, but it's looking good. See that? It looks kind of chunky. Keep going. You want to blend it a lot more. I was saying in the meantime, I was prepping my mint, dill, cilantro, and parsley. All right. Our hummus looks really good. And see how smooth that got? All right, so we're done with that. Put that to the side. Another nice thing to do with chickpeas is toss them in some salt and pepper, maybe a little olive oil, or if you really love the garlic, just some mojo garlic sauce. Put them on a baking tray and you can pop them in the oven, especially if you have an air fryer. Make sure it has that convection heat so they get nice and toasty and crisp. That's another nice topping for right on top of the hummus. Put some crispy chickpeas. Fantastic. So I'm gonna chop my herbs, the mint, the dill, the parsley, the cilantro. This is totally optional, but it really brightens up your dish and just takes it to the next level. using a lot of fresh herbs at the end, not while things are cooking because they're delicate. This really gives that extra bit of crunch and color and flavor. I really love how Middle Eastern and Mediterranean food, they use a lot of these herbs. They use the cilantro, they use the dill, they use the parsley, and using mint in savory dishes, it really has become a game changer in my kitchen. So I'm just giving everything a nice chop, and you can do it separately, but I want them all together. I want to just sprinkle some and have a bite of it all. All of these flavors, they really marry well. I think, you know, especially American cooking, we think of just parsley, or maybe if you have a lot of Mexican food and tacos, you have cilantro, but adding the mint brings a whole new dynamic, new flavor profile that just works so well. And dill, I think dill is really underrated. People might just think of it only for, you know, salmon and a dill sauce, but it really works for so many things. It's really, make your own ranch dressing. It takes dill, parsley, and some herbs. Marinate your chicken, right? In these kinds of herbs with yogurt, delicious. So I've got them pretty finely chopped because I'm gonna sprinkle them on towards the end of the cooking, and then I'm gonna save some to just put it right on top of my dish. And I've got my herbs ready to go. All right. So now I want to take the time and talk about a couple of other spices and ingredients that I found at Middle Eastern market that have made such a big difference in cooking, and especially if you're making Middle Eastern and Mediterranean kind of food. So we're gonna make pita, right? Well, I bought store-bought pita for the sake of time, because real pita, it needs some time to rise, but there's lots of great different types of pitas at the market. I'm going with the thin style, right? You can get the thicker one, or you can even get any kind of bread that you like, but this is what I'm using today, right? It's made with no fats or no oils. It's just bread and water, really, flour and water to make this bread. We're gonna put za'atar on top of it. Za'atar is a spice mix, and it's like one of those mixes that each family makes it a little bit different, and they add something to it. So it's traditionally with herbs like oregano or thyme or marjoram, and then they'll have sesame seeds, right, for that nuttiness. And then there's warm spices like a cardamom or cumin, right? So they'll add salt, and some will have olive oil, right? So it's a wonderful spice for fish, for chicken, for red meat, lamb, delicious, right? And it's really great for vegetables. It really kicks it up. But I want to make a note that if you're going to use za'atar, make sure that you get one that's like authentic, right? Try to find a Middle Eastern market, or I got this one on Amazon, because it really makes a difference. I'll show you. This is the za'atar, right, that I'm using today. It has a nice vibrant color. And then this was one that I had that I used a lot, but I really wasn't happy with the flavor. And it was one from regular grocery store. It's a McCormick brand. It just was not that great. It had a lot of thyme in it versus the Middle Eastern kind of za'atar, which has more of the other spices and includes sumac, the spice that I talked about before, right? So that is definitely a key part of za'atar too. And I found that the ones from the regular grocery store didn't have that in it. So the one that I really like, it's called the Spice Way. And they also add hyssop. Hyssop is a spice from the Middle East, that it has a floral taste to it, right? It produces flowers. And I think that really makes the difference than just having thyme or marjoram as a substitute. The hyssop really gives it that authentic flavor. So, you know, try to find authentic ingredients when you're making food from other cultures, and the best is to go to the Middle Eastern markets. And I find that if you don't know what you're looking for, people are actually pretty friendly and try to help you. I went this week and I was standing in front of all these shelves of cheeses, right? And they all looked like they were kind of like feta cheese, and I was looking for feta cheese, a feta style, right? But I wanted to try something different. And this woman comes up to me and is like, "Oh, hi, are you looking for something?" I must have looked really confused because it was almost overwhelming. You know, there had to at least been, 30 different types of cheeses there. And I didn't really know what the difference was. So she was excited that I was looking for food. Her husband was Turkish, and she showed me, she wasn't Turkish actually, she showed me all the things that her husband told her about, and showed her and shared. So that's another great thing about food, is sharing with others, right? So she definitely had a passion for it and was so happy to make suggestions of things. And I was happy too, because there were definitely things that I would have never thought to try. You know, if you've never tried it, you might be hesitant to buy it, because what if you don't like it? You feel like you're wasting your money. But, sometimes you gotta try, at least take that chance, because you might find something that you like. So this woman, she walked us around quite a few aisles, showing us a couple of things in the market. So, don't be afraid to try. The other thing that I found that I absolutely love and has made a really big difference in my cooking is pomegranate molasses. It is delicious if you've never had it. It's not something that you would just eat on its own because it's tangy. It has sweetness, but it has a lot of tang too. So it's a nice balance. It adds that extra, when you're making a stew or roasting vegetables, where it's like, there's something really great in there. And for me, it's that pomegranate molasses, really adding that balance of flavor, that tang, that sweetness. It's really just made with pomegranate juice and sugar and lemon and boiled down. So you can use this in soups and stews and roasting vegetables. Take carrots and put pomegranate molasses, put some cumin, salt, and pepper. It is phenomenal. I made a stew the other day. It was lamb meatballs, and it had eggplant, and I use pomegranate molasses. And the other thing that I use too is red pepper paste. So this really makes your sauces rich, and it has a delicious flavor. It's really similar to what you would do for a tomato paste, right? But it's just not tomato based. This one in particular, there's sweet pepper paste, but there's also spicy pepper paste, which I haven't played around with much because my mother doesn't like spicy that much, so I try to be, not too spicy when I cook so that she can eat it as well. But the sweet pepper paste has some salt in it, so you just want to watch out about your salt intake. Just add this and don't add any salt yet. Wait later. So, season as you go. Oh, Amara says hi to Titi Milena. Oh, hi, Mari. That's my niece, Mari. So, sweet pepper paste and pomegranate molasses. Definitely try if you have not. It's so wonderful. I talked about the Za'atar, and I talked a little bit about the sumac, right? It has a nice citrusy flavor. It really brings that authentic Middle Eastern flavor. Go to your Middle Eastern markets to get them, because the price difference is really significant if you were to go to a regular grocery store and not like a specialty Middle Eastern store, because this is, let's see, about a 3-cup container, right, that I use a sumac, and I gave away about this much to 2 other people because it was sold in big bags, 2-pound bags for like $7. If you go to the regular grocery store, you're gonna pay $5-6 for something this size. So you get a lot more for your money, and that's a way that you can also share with others, share some spices. So, all right, let's get to preparing our pita. And I'm just gonna make 1 pita per person. Hi, Mrs. Carter. Thanks for watching. All right, we're gonna take this wonderful garlic oil from the mojo garlic sauce and drizzle it on each of these pitas. And like I said, store-bought is fine. If you want to make your own pita, that's wonderful. To me, it's definitely something that it's worth the time, but I also understand that it is intensive. You know, really the thing to me for baking is whenever you have to let something something rise, you know, let it proof. And I always tell people, make sure that you read the recipe, because it's happened to me where I didn't account for the time to proof something, so I really messed it up and then tried to rush everything, and it doesn't work well. Hi, Valerie. Thank you. She says the camera loves you, Milena. You look beautiful. Thank you. I've got some good lighting here. So I've got my oil on the pitas, and then I'm gonna sprinkle it liberally with za'atar. I can't think of the name of the dish. I know it starts with an M, but I don't want to botch it up, where it's like a fresh dough and then you dimple it, right? And then put in a lot of za'atar. Oh, looks like, all right. The rest of our food is done. Perfect timing. You dimple up the dough, put tons of za'atar and oil on it, and then it bakes up, and it's almost like a, Middle Eastern style pizza. All right, so as you see, these are our pita. I'm going to get our food out of the oven. Show you what it looks like. All right, so our cauliflower is done, and the brown bits, that's where the good flavor is. Right? All right, so our chicken is done with the chicken thighs, and what I'm gonna do is let this rest for a few minutes, because then I'm gonna chop it up, and that's kind of the shawarma style. So something I forgot to tell you before, when you make something like this, right, the chicken thighs, or tomorrow I'm gonna cook with mushrooms. What's really fun is if you take half an onion as your base, and then you put in skewers, right, like 3 skewers, and then you're gonna do it this way though, right, if you have ones like these. So you put the onion on top as a base, and then layer the chicken thighs in a tower, right? So they do this with tacos al pastor, they do this with shawarma, and you layer it and cook it that way. You're gonna have a longer cooking time, but it is delicious, and then you just kind of cut it and shave it off. Millie says, I'm getting very hungry. Well, yes, me too, and good luck, Millie, because you're the one that's gonna eat this. So I'm gonna pop my pitas in for a few minutes. And these are thin, so I'm just gonna set them on a toast. All right. So this is the time that I'm gonna put some of my herbs that I chopped. I'm gonna put them on top of the chicken. I'm gonna put them on top of the cauliflower. And then I'm gonna show you the bonus. That's right, the aqua faba. We're taking that water from the garbanzos, the canned garbanzos. I'm adding in powdered sugar. And then I'm gonna whip it up. I'm just using an immersion blender for this because I find it kind of an easy tool to use in the kitchen. I love it. Okay. And all right. Let's whip this up. Which herbs are you using on the chicken? So I chopped up dill, cilantro, parsley, and fresh mint. If you haven't tried like fresh mint or more savory, I love that combination that they have in Middle Eastern cooking. Scallions would also be really good. You see, it's starting to look like milk. And it's thickening. Consistency of cream. Nice combination of herbs. Thank you. Yeah, I really love adding dill to things. I feel like it's, underrated. So I probably need a bigger container, but it's getting this nice milky consistency. And hang tight, I'm gonna get a bigger bowl. Okay, so that you can see, it's getting kind of frothy with lots of bubbles. And it really does have the consistency of heavy cream right now. It's amazing that this is just water from the garbanzo beans. Our pita is almost done. And the aquafaba. It's getting there. It smells like garbanzo beans. Okay. So I'm gonna keep going later, but as you can see, this consistency, it's like a thin whipped cream. And this would be great to pour over some berries. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna macerate some berries and pour this over and have this for dessert. All right, our pita is done. Let me clean up my board. and get this on my board to cut it up. Nice and toasty. Voila. Layer these on top. Cut them up. And then the next thing I'm going to do is plate it up to show you what it looks like. All right. So if you'd like the full recipe for the hummus and the veggies and the pita, it's on my website, www.mamamillies.com. And I'm going to be doing a monthly cooking demo to give you some ideas on how you can use the mojo garlic sauce. It's so versatile that it really can be for any type of cooking, right? And I want to show you how easy it is. So this video is going to be on my YouTube channel as well. So like and subscribe so that you can know when I upload more content. And follow us, of course, Facebook, Instagram. Sign up for the newsletter so that you can find out when my next events are as well. My next cooking demo is going to be March 20th at 6 p.m. We're going to be doing steak bites with smashed potatoes and sauteed mushrooms. So a little steak dinner. And then I haven't selected April yet, but if you have any suggestions, please let me know what you might like to see me cook. All right, let me go grab a bowl. I'll be right back. All right. So, chicken. First things first for the hummus bowl. The hummus. I'm gonna take bowl, right? I'm gonna put it right in the middle. And then I'm gonna take my spoon and move my bowl around the spoon because I'm going to create a little well. It created a little well. I'm going to sprinkle that with a little za'atar, a little sumac, and a drizzle of this delicious garlic oil that's steeped here with the garlic and herbs in the jar. All right, so this is a nice little presentation to dip your stuff. I'm gonna put some pita sticking on there. And then I'm going to get chicken. Let me grab a piece of my chicken. Gonna chop this up. Put this in the middle of the bowl. See? And then I'm going to take a cauliflower. It's nice and golden from the turmeric. All right, and there you have it. We've got hummus bowls, the chicken shawarma, cauliflower, and pita with za'atar. All right, everyone, thank you for joining. I hope you got some inspiration on how quickly and easily you can use Mama Millie's mojo garlic sauce for all kinds of tasty meals. All right, see you next time. Bye.